Go not to the elves for counsel, for they will say both no and yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. This is the We Read Books podcast.
Yippee, skippy.
We read books and then we sit down in this room and we talk about them. And hopefully you find it just as entertaining as us.
Because we clearly find ourselves fairly entertaining with all the laughing we do.
I mean, we're hilarious.
We are hilarious.
That's just it.
Facts are facts.
Exactly. Facts. And that's Whit.
And that's Mad.
And we are the whole team.
Yep. This 2-person little rowboat of ours is the crew.
Little tugboat. Let's see. We've got some social media. We are on Instagram at We Read Books Pod. We're on TikTok at We Read Books Pod. And our email is wereadbookspod23@gmail.com.
Pretty easy to remember, we hope.
Super easy. We do always link them in the notes of the episode description, so if you don't remember, just look down there and it says it. So.
We try to make it as easy for you as possible.
Yes, worry-free.
Yes. But so this week, we're continuing our Middle Earth journey with the Fellowship of the Ring.
Ew.
Yay, yay.
The journey begins.
After it already began.
It did sort of begin.
But it paused, so it's beginning again.
It was a soft opening with The Hobbit.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
We did The Hobbit a while ago.
It does feel like a while ago.
Time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, especially in episode time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, The Hobbit's so good.
It is so good.
So, obviously, this is the first installment of The Lord of the Rings. The sequels to The Hobbit, I guess.
Yeah.
Semi-sequel.
Not initially intended, but eventually intended.
Eventually intended. Yeah. Mr. George R.R. Tolkien is the author. I feel like I still sound nasally a little.
Only a smidgy, and I didn't notice it until just now.
I just, felt it. I've been sick, fair listener. Last week, from Wednesday to probably Saturday morning, I just thought the Lord hath cometh to taketh me. Especially Thursday.
The fact that you still worked from home astonishes me. If you felt that poorly.
It was really the main points of the day where I felt just the absolute worst. Where it was when I first woke up in the morning and towards the end of the night.
So when you weren't distracted by work.
Yeah. So the middle of the day, I felt okay. But I was also taking 8 ibuprofen.
You got to.
A day.
I was going to say, hopefully a day and not at a time.
No, not at a time. I would take 4 at a time, but...
I've been known to do that myself.
Yeah. I think the most I've ever taken at a time was 5, which is a lot.
That's bold.
Anytime I've had a migraine and I didn't have Excedrin.
Oh, yeah. You got to do what you got to do in that case.
Yeah. So that's only happened a handful of times, really.
That's good.
But, yeah. But what's weird is my head wasn't hurting that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that the pressure from my sinuses was really intense.
Yeah.
And whenever I would take the ibuprofen, I think it's the anti-inflammatory properties of it would reduce that.
Yes.
So it wasn't necessarily a pain. I just noticed that it helped.
Yeah. Well, good.
So, I don't know, but I'm alive. And I didn't take any days off while I was sick. Luckily, my job let me work from home.
Very nice. Very nice indeed.
Yeah. But anyway, on to...
Middle Earth.
Middle Earth. where they never talk about sicknesses.
You know, they're very lucky in that their journey was arduous enough.
I know. They didn't need illness to come in and add another log on the flame.
Absolutely not. But this gem was written, as we already said, by J.R.R. Tolkien, or Tolkien. People say it differently.
I always say Tolkien, but
Yeah.
I don't know which one is more correct.
I wish we could ask him. We could ask his son. He would know.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Chris. This one was published July 29th, 1954. And what's interesting is that The Hobbit came out in 1937, so it took Tolkien 17 years to put out the sequel. So
Yeah.
this puts Maddie's woes into perspective.
It does. It does. I just actually found out that little blurb, like, today.
Nice.
And I was like, well, there is still hope for the winds of winter.
I think I've already said this before, but every time something like bothers me or just really irks me, like in my head I hear Maddie's voice go, "Winds of winter!" And it makes me instantly feel better.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
You're always with me, Betty.
I love it. For any fair listener who is alongside me waiting on the winds of winter to arrive, last report is it was 75% done.
That's a good number. That's a larger number than,
I mean,
you know, that's closer to done than not done.
that's true.
That's what I'm trying to say.
That's true. And in regular novel terms, he could just publish what he has, because
Oh, I'm sure.
75% of a Song of Ice and Fire novel is probably like 1,000 pages.
Just, you know what? Take the last 25% and release like a novella or whatever, a little short
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
If he feels like it still kind of belongs together, but he, you know, can't get there, you know, just release what you've got
That's right.
and give us the other part when you're ready. Just, you know, this isn't a cake, okay? It doesn't have to be completely finished, you know.
For real. Just
It's more like a cookie. It's mostly done. It's a little gooey in the middle. Okay, give it to us.
just release it, George.
Maddie needs it.
George is getting old, and if he does not release this book, he is never going to finish the series.
Does he have someone he's entrusted with his secrets, his stories?
I do not know. I'm sure,
This is important.
but I would rather not,
Yeah.
if we're all just being honest. But I digress. Probably going to be talking about this forever, because he's never going to release them.
I'll hold on hope for you.
Now I'm depressed. So, yeah, moving on. Tolkien did intend for what we call the trilogy to be one book.
That would have been a big boy.
Yeah, and they're really separate volumes of one book.
Gotcha.
Which kind of makes, I know we've talked about Lord of the Rings movies multiple times, but how they filmed them all like continuous instead of like having separate filming sets kind of makes a little more sense.
It does. He was really in the mind of Tolkien.
Yeah. So, and there's no break. Like, I always forget because I watched the movies so many times. Mm-hmm. And I've watched the movies a lot more than I've read the books. I've probably read them a handful of times each, but I've watched the movies like a ton.
It's so much easier to consume.
It is, yeah.
The film.
And they're so enjoyable, too.
They really are.
I forget that where the film ends it ends just a little bit later than where the book ends.
I noticed that. I was like, something's missing.
Poor Sean Bean could have been in 2 movies.
I know.
Damn it.
Such is his curse as an actor. He just
Game of Thrones, my man.
he just kicks it well, you know? He does a good job. He's a good
true.
actor.
He is. What was he? I saw him in something recently that was not Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones.
Equilibrium?
No.
Is that what it's called? That Christian Bale movie?
It wasn't that.
Oh,
I've lost it completely. It might come to me later, but
If she shouts a random movie title, we'll know.
Dakota always, if we watch any movie that's like set in the UK,
Yeah.
there's always either a Harry Potter actor,
Oh, yeah.
a Game of Thrones actor, or both, because like Argus Filch is also in Game of Thrones. And anytime we're watching a movie and I see one of them, like, that one's in Harry Potter, that one's in Game of Thrones.
I feel like there's a lot of things that have a lot of crossover, especially if they're made there. But, like, I think Doctor Who and Harry Potter have a lot of crossover as well. So.
Yeah, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter didn't have any crossover, but they were filmed at the same time, a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I guess that
they
makes
were
more
pooling
sense.
from different
Demographics. Yeah. True.
You can't be in both. You got to pick one.
I know.
Gee, let me think. Do I want to go live in New Zealand for 3 years? Yes, please.
Yeah. And we would have had to have been from the UK to be in Harry Potter, so we would have just stayed home.
You know what, though? There are 2 American actors that I know played extras.
Yeah.
So I could have been an extra. I would have sat back there.
I know.
And not spoken.
I know.
But
Hey,
whatever.
Whatever.
Instead of speaking about the secret characters we wish we were in Harry Potter, I suppose we could talk about the characters that actually are in Fellowship of the Ring.
Aww. Okie dokie. Starting off, we got Bilbo. Bilbo Baggins. He's back at it again.
Yep. Up to his same tricks.
Up to his old...
adventurous tricks.
That burglar. Just out here burgling.
He's, if you don't know, he's a hobbit.
He's a hobbit.
One of the well-known hobbits, I would say, of this age anyway.
Yes. Yes. And after his antics in The Hobbit, now people around in the Shire give him the side eye.
Yeah.
They're like,
can I trust you?
he's tricksy.
He's Trixie.
So, yeah. But he's filthy rich, living over in Bag End.
Yep. Hanging out with our next character, Frodo Baggins, his nephew.
Yep. Frodo is, I think, was it 30 when we start? Or 33 when we start?
See, and the movies don't tell us this. And I'm going to try not to compare the book and the movie the whole time, okay? I will do my best. I can't help myself. My brain just works that way. But yes, Bilbo and Frodo have the same birthday.
They do.
Who knew? Book readers knew.
Book readers.
That's who. But yes, it's Bilbo's, once we get to the book part, you know, it will be Bilbo's 111th birthday and Frodo's 33rd, I do believe.
Yeah.
His coming of age birthday.
Yeah. So, in reality, I just came of age this year.
Indeed you did. Welcome.
See, I'm just a
to
new
of
adult.
age.
I'm just now an adult.
Your brain is fully done.
Cooked.
Ding.
That was not planned.
I cannot help myself over here.
I know. All right, next on the list, we've got Gandalf, the disturber of the peace.
Indeed he is.
I think that might be strictly film, but...
Maybe. I can't remember if they say it at any point in the book now. It's all, they're both blended in my brain.
I know.
So. But yes, he's a familiar character because he was in The Hobbit as well.
He was. He's a wizard. So him and Bilbo have been friends these many years.
Yep.
Since the antics of The Hobbit. And he just pops in and out now and then.
You know?
He's here for Bilbo's birthday party.
That's what wizards do. Pop in and out.
That's what they do.
As needed.
That's what he did all through The Hobbit.
Yep.
He was there and then he's gone.
Yep. I have a feeling he's gonna do that here too.
Yeah.
If the movie is to be believed, he did the same thing.
Certainly he did.
And then we have a couple more hobbits, or, you know, a little less than a handful. We've got Merry, Pippin, and Sam.
Yep.
So Merry and Pippin are cousins to Frodo. And then Sam is a friend, but also he kind of works for the Bagginses along with his gaffer, doing like the lawn maintenance.
Yeah, he's the
and
gardener.
such. Yeah. But I'd say they're friends.
Yeah, I think they're friends.
They have a good bond.
I think they generally hang out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Merry and Pippin hang out with Frodo a lot as well.
Yes.
So they're all like pretty tight-knit
Yes.
there. There's also another hobbit. I didn't put him in here, but his name is Fatty Bulger. Which is so mean.
I was so upset for Fatty Bulger. I was like, is this a nickname? Do you have another name that I can call you? Which I think isn't there a secondary name, or is that just it's just Fatty Bulger?
Let's see. Fatty Bulger is a nickname, and I think I have his real name in here, or maybe I don't. Nope, I didn't put it in here.
My sincerest condolences, Fatty Bulger. My deepest regrets.
I know. I will say, when I was in high school, there was this guy whose house we used to, like, party at a lot. Mm-hmm. And I have no idea what his actual name was. We just called him Fat Kid.
No.
Yeah. He was older than me. He's about my older brother's age, I believe. And so he was, like, one of, like, Justin's friend group.
Yeah.
And that's just what everyone called him.
Did he want to be called that?
I don't know. I didn't really know him that well.
He already had the name bestowed upon him when you knew him, though, so it's not as if you named him such.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, boy.
And my brother had another friend, and his nickname was Chubbs.
Listen. Listen here.
So rude.
We can't be naming people these things. I mean,
Yep.
Okay, I guess literally you can, but you shouldn't.
Yeah. And Chubbs' real name is Kyle. But
Okay.
I think people still call him Chubbs.
Oh my god.
I think.
At
I
this
mean, I don't
point,
know. I don't spend
he's
time down
probably
there, but
so desensitized. I hope he's so desensitized that it doesn't hurt his heart.
I know. Maybe it's kind of like a Biggie Smalls situation.
Maybe.
He embraced it. It's his rap name.
Right. Maybe he came up with it as like, before they call me anything, I'm calling me Chubbs.
Chubbs. Yeah. I don't know. But anyway.
Poor Chubbs.
Moving along from Chubbs.
Yeah.
Next on our list is Aragorn, a.k.a. Strider.
A.k.a.
Son
Ranger from the North.
Ranger
Yes,
from the
son of
North.
Arathorn.
Aragorn is a man. He is one of the Numenors.
A human.
Human.
I thought it was interesting that the Rangers from the North are all
Numenor.
Numenor.
Yep.
Very cool.
So the Numenorians are like a race of humans.
But are they also called the Duodyne, or the Duodyne something separate?
I think that Bilbo just calls Aragorn the Dunedain.
Dunedain, okay.
Yeah, I think that's
I'm already getting
nickname.
things wrong. Buckle up, because it will not be the last time.
There's a lot of it's a lot coming at you.
Yeah.
In this.
Yeah.
There's so many names and yeah, but I think Dunedain is a nickname given to Aragorn by Bilbo, but the race is Numenor.
Okay.
And they have they're bigger than other humans and they live longer lives.
Yes, because he tells us his age.
He's 88.
Yeah. We like those double numbers.
We do.
I like them too.
I like it. And he lives to be well over 200 because...
As he deserves to.
Yeah.
My humble opinion. And then we have, I don't remember how old he is. I was going to say the young elfling, but...
I think he's 2,000
I was going to say
old.
he's not young at all. Legolas from Mirkwood.
Mm-hmm. He is the son of Thranduil,
Yes.
who we saw in The Hobbit.
Yes.
Not Legolas.
Not Legolas. Legolas was not in The Hobbit.
No. So Legolas is the prince of Mirkwood in that elf kingdom over there because his dad, Thranduil, is the elf king.
Yes.
So
That's all I really know about the guy. He didn't get a lot of book time, page time.
he didn't
Really
talk
much.
Doesn't have a lot of dialogue. They beefed up in the movie for sure.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
I just like
liked
to think he's hanging there watching.
He is.
Being astute.
He's got his elf eyes peeled.
Yes.
Then we have Gimli, the dwarf.
Son of Gloin.
Son of
Or
Gloin.
Glowin. depending on how you want to pronounce it.
Depending. I always say Gloin, but...
Yeah, I always say Gloin too. But I feel like I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
Gloin was also in The Hobbit. So
We've got some lineage here.
Yeah. And Gloin is in this book.
He is. Gloin is in this book. He has a very long talk with Frodo.
Yeah. We saw some familiar faces, guys. We got new ones, but we got some familiar ones too.
We do.
Speaking of new ones.
New ones.
We have another man. Human.
Another Numenor.
Is he another Numenorian? Mm-hmm. My mind is blown already. Boromir from Gondor. His father is the Steward.
Mm-hmm. Yep, he is.
He's a well-battled man.
He is.
Has been in many battles. That's probably a better way to say it.
A well-battled man. I don't know. I like that.
Okay, good.
It's more creative.
Yeah, thank you.
Next on the list is Arwen. Arwen Evenstar.
Yes.
She is the elven daughter of Elrond, who is the leader of Rivendell.
I don't recall her speaking.
She doesn't,
Okay.
but I put her in here
Thank you.
because she asked. She has to be on the list.
Who was the one that actually did do a lot of talking? His name was very similar to one of the elves in the beginning of the story.
Oh, Glorfindel.
Glorfindel is the one that was like at the river and such.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I should have put Glorfindel on the list.
We're putting him there now.
Yep.
Glorfindel.
Glorfindel, he is an elf of Rivendell, and he's the one who actually gets Frodo after he's been stabbed.
Did he get re-stabbed? Oh, you mean the first time he got stabbed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
Gotcha.
Glorfindel.
Yeah.
Because there's also the first elf that they encounter is Haldir.
And I thought it was Gilder.
Oh, it is Gilder, because then Haldir is in Lorien.
Yeah.
So many elves.
There's some elven men out here that are just helping us out through our journey.
Yeah.
But they weren't in the movie, and our brains just can't retain them.
Yeah.
But they're important in the books.
They're important in the books.
So we've mentioned them.
They keep the crew on track at various points.
Yes, they do. They're just, our crew is like a bunch of little toddlers sometimes, and they got to have some folk catch them and kind of sit them up and give them some food and rest, and then they send them on their way.
Especially whenever it is the hobbits on their own. They're just out here like...
Sweet babies.
I know.
They are not well journeyed yet.
They'd never been out of the Shire, really.
Yeah.
So...
Them hobbits like the comfortable life.
They do. We know that well.
Who can blame them?
Not me.
Not me.
Where are we?
Elrond is our
Elrond.
next elf man.
Elf man. Elrond half-elven.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He's half human, half elf.
Correct. And he was given the choice between being mortal or immortal, and he chose immortality.
Who gave him the choice? And how did they have the authority to help him pick? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clearly they had some magics.
There's a whole backstory here, and I cannot articulate it fully right now.
Understandable.
Off the top. But not all elves have the choice, but when Arwen gets to make that choice as well.
Correct.
Because
Not in this one.
No.
But later.
Because Elrond had the choice, his kin, his offspring also have the choice.
Very nice.
So it was a gift to him from someone whose name I cannot remember.
That makes the even star make more sense. Because she even says, it is a gift for me to give to whom I will.
Yep.
She doesn't say that in this book, but she says it.
She says it.
In the movie.
In the movie.
Does she say it in the next book? Does she get a lot more lines?
No.
I was going to say, you can't see, but Maddie's eyes are huge and she's shaking her head at me.
No, I don't think she really gets much in the way of lines.
Which I did investigate. I was like, why did they give Arwen scenes that weren't in the book? And it was simply just because to round out the cast and to have some more female representation. Because really in the book, all we get is Galadriel.
Yeah, in this book, it's really just Galadriel.
And her hubby hubs.
Celebron.
Yeah.
Celeborn.
And then there's another elf that we don't meet, but Celebrimbor.
Yeah.
They bring him up occasionally as well.
That's who, like...
They all have similar names, and Ugh, it's killing me. Speaking of similar names, we have Saruman.
Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with Sauron.
Right. Which Sauron is the Dark Lord.
Mm-hmm, the big bad.
Saruman is another wizard.
The white.
The White Wizard. Or is it?
Hmm.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. And some characters that do not surface in the films.
Yeah.
Tom Bombadil and his wife Goldberry.
I had a pleasant time with them.
Yeah. You know, they're cool.
Yeah.
They're fun, and I just constantly hear his songs in my head. Tom Bombadillo.
He seems like a jolly person to be around.
He does.
If you're having a bad day, you want Tom Bombadil
That's right.
nearby.
I would want to stay at his house. If I was Frodo and the rest of the crew, I'd be like, you know what?
I'm hanging my hat.
I'm staying.
I love later how they talk about, like, if they had given the ring to Tom Bombadil, that he would just, like, forget it or throw it away.
Yeah.
He cares about his little plot of land and his lady.
And they exist, like, outside of time somehow.
He's got a pretty sweet deal.
He's just perpetually existing with Goldberry.
I don't know
lovely.
what he is, but
It's never really explained.
he's a delight, is all I'm
He's a
saying.
delight. He's a delight.
And then we've got Mr. Butterbur, who is just so dang busy. Just too busy for his own liking.
Yeah.
Or maybe he likes to be busy, but so busy he can't even think straight.
Can't even remember things.
He
at
is,
all.
no, yeah. He's the owner of the Prancing Pony
Yep.
Inn and Pub.
Yep.
I don't know that's what they call it, but that's what I'm calling it.
And that's essentially, it's what it
Yeah.
is.
So we may have some other characters pop in and out. Farmer Maggot. He's
Farmer Maggot.
Yeah, he's more important in the book as well.
He is.
I liked those interactions too.
I did too.
But so we'll probably find more aha characters to mention,
Probably.
but I think we got a good chunk.
Yeah, we've got a good starting point here. So we're going to do some plot points here.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a prologue, but it's basically like catching you up on that this is a sequel to The Hobbit, and
You just get a lot of informational things about hobbits in general and other races and such and whatnot.
yeah, exactly.
So
So,
nothing too crazy.
yeah, it's really just informational.
I don't know that you have it mentioned here, but I do like that they kind of keep going back to the fact that the story of the Hobbit is because sorry, my brain has 10 thoughts and they're all rushing into my head at once. Basically, the Hobbit was written one way, and then he made some slight changes, especially chapter, I believe it was 5, whatever chapter it was where he meets Gollum and has the riddles in the ring and whatnot. I thought it was cool that this book sort of explained that indiscrepancy or like the slight oddness of having two versions. I liked that it described that in a way by saying, well, one was Bilbo's first version that he told the crew so that him getting the ring kind of landed a little softer and kind of made him look a little better. Not that he looked super bad in the other one, because, I mean, Gollum was going to eat him.
Right.
But then, then they say, oh, but the real version is, this. The current version of The Hobbit, the version that they publish now.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a cool way for them to address that change in story. Like, that is a thing that really just thrills me, because when there's inconsistencies and they're not addressed at all, it irks me. But if you address it and give me a even halfway decent explanation, I'm satisfied.
Yeah.
I'm happy. So I loved that. I thought that was great.
It's sort of like a wink wink, right?
Yes.
Everyone knows that this was kind of not planned beforehand, but we're just gonna we're just gonna all go with it.
Yeah. But I thought it was brilliant, so.
Yeah, I agree. So we open with Bilbo's 111th birthday.
Heck yeah.
And he's throwing himself a big old bash.
Yeah. Hobbits love parties.
They love a party.
On their birthdays, they hand out gifts to others.
Yeah, that's wild.
I know. It's crazy.
But it's very precious.
It is so precious.
So, whatever works for these hobbits.
Yep. But they like a good party. They like a good meal.
They do like a good meal.
A birthday is the perfect excuse for both.
It is. So Gandalf is obviously in attendance. He brings his fireworks, and they just have a grand old time. Mm-hmm. And then it's time for Bilbo to give a speech. And basically, he's like, see ya, I'm out of here.
Right. Glad to have known you, but I got things to do.
Gots to go.
Disappear.
And he has his little golden ring, he puts it on, and he disappears.
Yep.
He's invisible, and he just scurries back to his house at Back End.
Yep. And Gandalf, being the smart man that he is, he knows
Yeah, he
that's
knows.
what Bilbo's doing.
He knows.
So he meets him back at the house.
And Bilbo's awful proud of himself.
Yeah, he is.
Had himself a right little chuckle.
Yep.
But Gandalf shows up and was like, gotcha.
Right. Listen, you want to go? That's fine. But I think that, I know you have all your affairs in order. You're going to leave everything to Frodo. So why don't you just make sure that you leave that ring to him too?
Yeah. And Bilbo's like, yeah. Of course. I already left it.
Yeah.
And Gandalf's like, nah, you didn't though.
He's like, oh, but wait, it's in my pocket. Why don't I keep it?
in my pocket.
Why are you trying to take it from me? And he starts getting a little snippy snip. Gandalf's like, listen, sir, I am not trying to rob you. I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
You really need to drop that ring now. It took a little pushing, but Bilbo did relinquish the ring of his own volition.
He did.
Which is important.
Importante.
Very importante.
So once he actually drops the ring, he seems to relax, and he just heads on out.
Yep. He's ready to see mountains and rivers and hang out with elves probably.
And dwarves.
Yeah.
He's got some dwarf friends.
Yeah. He misses his adventures.
Yeah. So he heads out, and Gandalf is left there with the ring. I think he scoops it up and puts it on the mantle.
I think so.
And
he doesn't
waits.
touch it.
Right. And waits. He scoops it up in an envelope.
I don't know if the book says.
I don't think the book says. But
it may not. I don't remember it specifically saying. But yeah, he kind of sets it aside or whatever.
He does. And when Frodo gets home, Gandalf is there.
Yeah. He doesn't want Frodo to come home to a completely empty house.
Right.
Because Bilbo didn't have the heart to say goodbye to Frodo, for good,
Yeah.
He loves him very much, and
he does.
He would have asked him to go with him, but he just didn't think Frodo was ready for such a adventure. He believed that Frodo loved the Shire too much, which he does. Love the Shire.
He does.
But Frodo yearns secretly to go on adventures too.
Yeah.
But, Frodo arrives. Gandalf's there. He tells him that Bilbo did leave, which Frodo suspected. Mm-hmm. And he, lets him know, hey, but everything's yours now, and so is this ring. But don't touch it. Don't put it on. Don't tell anyone about it.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
Yes. And Gandalf kind of comes and goes over several years.
Yeah.
17.
17 years.
Oh my gosh. That's a long time.
That's a really long time. And Frodo's just out here living his life at Bag End.
Yep.
Like, whatever.
He's still throwing birthday parties for Bilbo.
Yeah.
Even though Bilbo's not there, he throws them in his honor. Which I think is sweet because he's not even like, it's my birthday. He's like, it's Bilbo's birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. He's
cute.
He's a cutie.
Yeah. So after 17 years has passed, rumors are beginning to swirl around. They make their way into the Shire, which is pretty rare.
Yeah, I was going to say, if rumors have made it to the Shire, then it's serious. Because most goings-on in the world don't reach them.
Yeah.
They're
pretty well isolated.
Cover them, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say over those 17 years, wasn't Gandalf sort of preparing Frodo? You might need to leave. This is, but I just need to find out some more things first.
Yeah, I don't think he fully told him, but I think he kind of insinuated that there could be something more here.
Yeah, but he came and went several times.
Yeah.
Until finally the last time.
Yep.
But
so the rumors are that there's growing evil power in the land of Mordor.
Ooh.
So
it's further than a hop, skip, and a jump from the Shire, but
but still.
It means bad news for all.
Yeah. It be lurking out there. Mm-hmm. And so when Gandalf comes back out of the blue and suddenly, he tells Frodo that Bilbo's ring is more powerful than he thought at first. And that it is the One Ring.
Right. I think he was in denial as long as he could be.
Yeah.
And they did the test, putting it in the fire to see if it revealed
the inscription.
And it sure did.
Sure did.
Would you like to do the honors?
Aha. The inscription on the ring reads, "One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them."
Serious business.
Serious business.
Yeah, and Gandalf all this time he wasn't just hanging out, he was doing research.
Yeah, he's doing stuff.
So he's able to tell Frodo the origin of the ring and how it kind of got passed around. He doesn't give him the full story because the book even says the full story is just way too long.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny. But he kind of gives him the brief how things went about.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, the One Ring is the ring of the Dark Lord Sauron. Sauron. No, it's Sauron. I'm going to say Sauron.
Sauron is how I would say it as well.
Anyway, so he's the Dark Lord. He made this ring, and it's the ring of power. There were other rings, and he was tricksy and made this one in secret.
Yes.
And I think it only controls the rings of men.
Men and maybe dwarves. But the elven rings were different.
Rings were different.
I believe he instructed their creation, but didn't imbue it.
Them.
Yeah, he didn't bind them. But I do, at very least, the rings of men. But I believe that the rings of dwarves also. Because, and those were all either lost or taken something. Those, we're not sure where the dwarven rings are. We know where the rings of men are.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
I was gonna say they're on their hosts, which are
yes, they are
smoky clad
cloaked
men.
Yeah, and there are 3 elf rings, and 7 for the dwarves and 9 for the men. So, yep, that's the thing. The One Ring basically has the essence of Sauron in it. So he doesn't. I don't know. It's kind of like the Horcrux concept.
Yes,
he was defeated by Isildur, but not destroyed.
Right, because he still had the tether.
He's tethered to the ring.
Right.
So, all of that. So, through the trickle-down effect, the ring went from Isildur, and then Deagle.
Yes.
And then Smeagol killed Deagle for the ring. Smeagol became Gollum.
Yes.
And Bilbo got the ring from Gollum. So,
yep.
This whole story comes out in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yes.
So, that's basically a very, very brief history of the ring.
Yes. There's even more in our notes, but really that's the gist of it.
That's the gist of it. The actual history, I mean...
And that's the brief history that Gandalf gives. Like, he says that there's even more pass-abouts.
Yeah.
Or something. I couldn't quite understand what he was trying to allude to, but he just basically, it's too much to tell you. Okay.
I think that's probably an allusion to the Silmarillion.
Probably.
Because I think most of the Silmarillion was already written by the time he's writing Lord of the Rings.
That's right.
Think he wrote that first.
Right. More background.
Yeah.
The man loves background.
He loves it.
Can't help himself. Can't blame him.
I agree.
He's good at building a world.
He really is. Okay.
But yeah, it seems that the ring has I don't know about mind of its own, but it kind of leaves and betrays people.
Yeah.
I don't know if it has... I feel like it only has a strong will with people that are weak-willed. So, like, in the hands of Bilbo...
It was, like, dormant.
It was dormant. It didn't really have any... It didn't betray him or whatever, because he didn't really...
Yeah.
He only used it occasionally to hide from the Sackville Bagginses.
Yeah, and he also didn't use it for its power.
Right.
Like, to conquer.
Right.
So it was essentially, like, dormant with Bilbo.
Yeah. And I feel like the ring is very patient. It's just like, I'll get where I need to get.
Yeah.
It'll happen.
Exactly. That's...
You know.
So, but it definitely betrayed Gollum.
Mm-hmm.
So, after Gandalf finishes telling Frodo the tale,
Mm-hmm.
he also tells him that Gollum had been captured by the enemy and under questioning, aka torture, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Gollum gave the enemy the name Baggins, and so now Sauron kind of knows where the ring is, and he wants it.
Dang, Gollum got questioned by a lot of people because we find out later that
Aragorn had him.
Yeah, and was questioning him as well.
Yeah, and he was in the dungeons of the elf dungeons at Mirkwood.
Oh, yeah. Being captured left and right, but he sneaked right out of there, too.
Yep. Sneaky.
But, so, obviously, Frodo can't stay there, but he doesn't leave right away. He still hangs out for a little while.
Like 2 months.
There's some more planning to be had, but...
Multiple months.
He knows that he cannot stay and that this journey is meant to be secret.
Yeah.
But not so secret, because Gandalf catches Samwise Gamgee eavesdropping at the window. And so...
One of my favorite lines, too. I ain't dropping no eaves, sir, honest.
Yep. Pretty late for trimming the verge, you know. But yeah, so Sam, just being a loyal, good friend, is like, hey, I'll go with him. I'll help him.
Yeah.
So.
Pretty much, yeah.
He's going to.
So Gandalf remains in the Shire with them for like 2 months and then has to leave because he receives some news that he finds concerning. And so then Frodo prepares to leave as well. Not quickly, though.
No, I was going to say, he still hangs around for a while and continues his planning. I think he's, at this point, though, he is kind of waiting for Gandalf to come back.
Yeah, right.
Gandalf does not come back.
Gandalf does not return. And so Frodo just proceeds. He sells Baggin to the Sackville Bagginses.
This shocked me.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
I know.
Because Bilbo would never have wanted that.
Yeah.
But Frodo also knows, like, he's marked, so he can't stay in a familiar home at the top of the hill, so...
Right.
But yeah, that shook me. I was shocked. I was like, he did what?
The Sackville Bagginses? I love whenever Bilbo calls them the SBs, too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's so funny.
It is funny.
Oh.
They don't get any, treasure, though. It's just like they get the property. I mean, they wanted it, but...
Yeah.
Ungrateful. These are the folks that were, like, trying to auction off and buy all of Bilbo's stuff when he was gone in The Hobbit, and they've just been grasping for his home because they were the next heirs in line until Bilbo adopted Frodo, and then Frodo inherited everything.
Circumvented them.
But they got their way because Frodo was in danger, so Frodo sold them the house, and I was just very shocked by this.
Yep.
But after waiting however long he waits, he just can't wait anymore, and he knows he's got to go. So he sells Baggin to the Sackville buttholes.
The SBs. Oh. So after he sells Baggin, he buys a house in Buckland called Crick Hollow. Mm-hmm. And Buckland is like across the Brandywine River.
Isn't it like near the dock of the Brandywine River? Like they're river folk. Like most hobbits are not boat users.
Right.
And such, but the people that live in Buckland are a little more apt for that, correct?
Yes, they are. So Merry and Fatty Bolcher go ahead of the rest to Buckland to get the house ready, and then Sam and Pippin stay to help Frodo, and they are going to follow on foot.
Correct.
So
the journey begins. After a lot of years and waiting.
So many years, poor Frodo.
But we get a lot of cool chapters about hobbits.
We do. We get to spend a lot of time with the hobbits, which is cool.
It is cool. But They head out, and Frodo hears some strange voices talking to Sam's father, Ham-Gamgee, now also known as the Gaffer.
The Gaffer.
Who lives next door. And the voice asks for Mr. Baggins, but the Gaffer responds that Mr. Baggins has already left. So Frodo's,
off.
yeah, which is great of Gaffer. But Frodo's like, okay, we're leaving in the nick of time because something is afoot.
Yeah, this is not normal.
Yeah, so they are not going to take the main roads. They're going to try and kind of go off the beaten path.
They are.
But second day out, the hobbits hear the sound of hooves on the road behind them, and Frodo feels kind of a strange desire to hide. And that leads Sam and Pippin off into the trees. And all of a sudden, there's this tall, dark rider on a black horse. And he's shrouded in a black cloak, and you can't see his face. And he actually, stops near the spot where the hobbits were hiding, and he's sniffing the air for the scent. And the way that it's, I don't know that it's, extremely described, but just the way that it's described and the way that it makes Frodo, creeped out. The way that it was sniffing after them. I was like, ooh, that's eerie.
It is eerie.
But yeah, it's trying to catch their scent.
Trying to catch their scent.
And with that rider being close by, Frodo notices this sudden desire to put on the ring.
He does.
But he doesn't do it, thankfully.
He fights the urge.
Yeah, and the rider rides off because apparently can't. He's close, but not close enough for a good whiff. So he can't tell that they're there. And Sam informs them that that's the rider or a similar rider appeared at Gaffer's. So he knows that there's at least one or two of them now out and about.
And they're looking for him.
Yeah. No, thank you.
No way.
No soliciting of any kind.
That's right. Except on party business. Mm-hmm. So now they're even more cautious, and they're listening for the sound of hooves, and they have to camp because they're going on foot. This is not a short jaunt. Nope. So they have to camp, and it's getting dark, and they can hear a horse approaching. So they hide in the trees, and it's another black rider. It stops, it starts to approach, but then it hears the singing of elves.
Yay.
And it rides off.
All that jolly mirth is just too much for it to handle, I guess.
Just cannot handle the singing of the elves.
It's just not interested.
Nope, not at all. And so a group of elves actually approach, and one of them, his name is Gildor, greets Frodo. Mm-hmm. And Pip asks him about the Black Riders, and the elves look really worried, and they take the hobbits under their protection for the night, and they stop, and it's like a little enchanted meadow. Mm-hmm. They have a feast.
Yeah.
They have some songs.
It's a good time.
As they do.
They weren't rude to the hobbits at first, but they were just kind of like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
But then when they realize who Frodo is and that he's a friend to the elves and knows Elvish, then
they warm up.
Yeah, they warm up pretty quick. And Gilder doesn't really give Frodo advice, as the quote said at the beginning. Elves don't really answer questions straight on, but he does try to impart as much wisdom as he feels that he can upon Frodo.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because they're really concerned with what the Black Riders are, who they are, and Gilder is kind of hedgy about it, but
won't tell them a ton either.
Yeah, won't really tell them exactly, but he simply tells them that they're servants of the enemy and should be avoided at all costs, which I think they just intuition knew. Yeah. That they need to stay away from them, but eventually they settle down and go to sleep for the night, and that's it. When the hobbits wake up, the elves are gone.
Yep. I think they kind of told them that too. They were like, this will be gone by the time you get up.
Yeah, pretty much. So the elves did send word to Rivendell about the hobbits.
Which is nice.
Yeah. So Rivendell's on alert.
Keeping their peepers peeled.
Yep.
For some hobbits to arrive.
On the watch.
Yep.
So Frodo decides at this point that they need to cut across the fields between Woody End and the Brandywine River because he does not want to stay on the road where they can be seen.
Yeah. Shortcut is a quote-unquote shortcut. Basically, we're going off path and we're staying off path because we've seen this rider more than once, or there's a couple of them out there, and we're not chancing it.
Yeah, we're not going to risk this anymore. So they get off the road, and not long after that, they see another black rider
in the distance.
On the road.
Yep.
In the distance.
So they know that they're glad that they didn't stay on the path, but it's not easy going for them. It's pretty rough go through this path. They go a little farther off course than they meant to,
and it's slow, and the brush is dense, and they hear terrible cries, and they assume it's the Black Riders.
Yeah,
and they're scared, and it's dark.
Yeah. Doesn't sound like a good time to me.
They're struggling.
Yeah. Yeah, they're scrambling through bog and briar, and, they're tired.
They're tired and dirty and hungry.
Yep. I like that they at least admit to themselves, they're like, yeah, I miss my bed. Yeah, I wish I didn't leave the Shire, but I gotta do this. I've mustered my courage. This is what I should be doing. I gotta be doing. I'm glad I'm doing it in the sense that it needs to be done, but boy, do I miss my hobbit hole.
Yeah, I know.
Wouldn't we all feel that way? I know I would.
That's all Bilbo thought at the beginning of The Hobbit. Mm-hmm. He just kept thinking about his hobbit hole.
But he kept his resolve pretty strong.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So, after scrambling, as I said, through bog and briar, then they come upon Farmer Maggot's property, who actually Frodo's a bit nervous about being on his property because Farmer Maggot caught Frodo stealing some mushrooms a little while before this. So when he was a younger lad, I don't know how much younger.
Just a wee babe.
A wee babe of 45. Oh, gosh. So funny. I will say it did mention, though, that Frodo didn't really age, like, physically in those 17 years. So he still looks like a young lad. Smoking 33-year-old hobbit.
Little hobbit hunk.
He's not described as Elijah Wood, though.
No.
He's described to be a little bit round and...
a little plump, but all hobbits are plump.
Exactly.
I feel like I should go let the dogs out now.
Oh, yes, it's time. Break. We talked about Frodo being afraid of Farmer Maggot because he steals his mushrooms.
Yes.
But Farmer Maggot is actually very welcoming.
He is.
To the hobbits, especially because they're friends of
Mary. Yep.
And he has good favor with Mary. So he welcomes them in very kindly.
He does.
And at first, Frodo's like, oh, maybe he doesn't remember me. He does.
He does.
He's nice. Him and his wife.
Yeah. And they make them really good dinner because they're hobbits.
Yeah.
I want a hobbit to make me dinner.
Hobbit hospitality sounds like the bomb.com.
I mean, we talked about that in The Hobbit. Mm-hmm. Bilbo was a little disgruntled, but he was an excellent host.
Yeah. And then when I found out when they give out birthday presents on their own birthday, what? These people are ridiculous and amazing.
So great.
Yeah. So actually, Farmer Maggot tells them of a strange dark man who came by earlier asking for Mr. Baggins as well. So these dark riders are not idle.
Nope, they're on the hunt.
Knocking down doors. Not literally, but I guess they're slightly polite, They're not barging into people's homes, but they're definitely bugging everybody for the whereabouts of the Bagginses.
That's a really interesting point about the Black Riders. Mm-hmm. Is they don't ever just barge into people's houses.
No, not until the inn. They don't. Yeah.
They're just knocking on doors. Hey,
have you seen Baggins?
They're being creepy, but they're not
sniffing.
It's just a really fun. I can just see Tolkien thinking of this.
Yeah.
Just at his desk. They're proper gents. They're knocking first.
They have evil intentions, but they will knock and ask politely.
It's like what you always read. I've seen multiple memes where it's Voldemort might have been super evil, but he really cared about Harry's education. He always waited till the end of the year to attack.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So true. So yeah, we appreciate these writers at least asking and then moving on their not so merry way. So Farmer Maggot knows that they're kind of in danger as well. So
he's astute.
Yeah. And so our 3 traveler hobbits here are quite scared, but they're super grateful that Farmer Maggot offers to get them to Brandywine River in a covered wagon.
Yep, he does.
On the way, they hear some hooves approaching, but thankfully it turns out to be Mary.
Yeah.
And not another dark rider. But Farmer Maggot was ready to square up. Or at least, puff his chest out a little bit.
Yeah. He was going to get serious.
Yep. So they get ready and go over to Buckland to Frodo's new house at Crick Hollow. Mary has baths, multiple baths.
He's
and
got
supper
it ready.
Him and Fatty Bulger.
Oh, Fatty. It feels so wrong to say. So, Mary, we got the baths, we got supper, blah-bitty. So, Frodo decides that he needs to tell Merry and Pippin that he is, in fact, leaving the Shire for good.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah. We know.
We noticed.
You're not that sneaky.
Right.
And Frodo is super shocked that they've basically known the whole time.
Mm-hmm. They didn't know the details. They didn't know about the ring, but they knew that Frodo was planning something.
Yeah. They knew that he had something up his sleeve. And with Sam as an eavesdropper, they pieced together a good bit of the situation.
Yeah. Which Frodo feels betrayed and is also super proud of Sam for being so sly.
Super sly. And Frodo, at this point, he doesn't want his friends to, be in danger. But Merry and Pippin, they're like, nah, we're coming, so...
We already planned
it.
And it's not like, oh, we're going to follow you, into the fields. It was like, we know this is probably dangerous, whatever this is, but we're coming.
Yeah, they understand, and Sam obviously knows that this is not a joke, and they're like, we're your friends, we can't let you go alone. What are you, crazy?
Yeah.
And Frodo, he's glad.
Yeah, I think he pretends to be reluctant, but it's sort of like, whew.
Yeah, he's relieved.
Yeah, I'm glad my friends will be with me.
Yeah, everything feels a little less scary when you have your friends with you.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And Frodo decides they're going to leave the next day, cut through the old forest, and that Fatty Bulger will stay at... I just can't.
FB.
Good old FB is going to stay at Crick Hollow to keep up the pretense that Frodo's living in Buckland.
Yeah, and he can kind of keep an eye on things.
Yeah.
Just in case. But yeah, they, so after this, they set off through the old forest, which is dense, and they definitely lose the path. The old forest is not a place that people enter lightly, especially not after dark.
Right.
After the dark.
The dark.
But... So they wind through, the trees are moving, it seems, and it's getting foggy, and all kind of mischief is happening.
There's so much mischief.
And all of a sudden, they, decide to take a little sleep.
Yep.
And Merry and Pippin get swallowed by a tree. By some roots of the tree. I'm not really sure, but they get trapped.
They get trapped by the willow.
Yes.
Sam is really the only one who kind of fends off the willow's tricks.
Yeah, sleepy tricks, yeah.
Yeah, because Frodo falls in the pond or whatever.
Mm-hmm. And Sam rounds up those ponies. He cares about those animals so much.
Does.
He's just a sweet man.
He is. Oh, little Sam.
Yep.
So Sam pulls Frodo out of the river that he
because
fell
he's
into.
Pinned down by a root as well.
Yeah. And they see Merry and Pip are caught in the trunk of a tree.
They closing in on him. One of them had a foot hanging out or something.
Yeah. They try to light fires near it.
Smacking the tree, just making a big hoot and holler.
Yeah.
But the tree starts to squeeze them, so it's sort of like, hey, if you don't back off, I really will crush them. But,
yeah.
they're already in danger of being crushed, so
Yeah, they're in danger.
Yeah.
But then they hear the sound of some jolly singing.
Yeah. Frodo's like, help! Somebody help! And then jolly singing happens.
Tom Bombadillo shows up. I don't know the rest of the words to his song. That's the only part I know.
Shall we find it?
Tom Bombadillo. If that doesn't make you smile, you have a heart of stone.
I agree. I'm not gonna be. It's gonna take me forever probably to
fiddle
through and find. It's okay.
It's okay. We don't need to sing.
We don't need to sing the whole song. Yeah, Tom Bombadillo comes along with his jolly songs, and he knows what's up. He knows how to handle these woods and these trees.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
And he sings, and he gets the tree to release Merry and Pippin.
Just like that. Old Man Willow.
Yeah, Old Man Willow obeys.
Yep. So he gets them out, and he takes them back to his home with his wife Goldberry for dinner.
And they have just a lovely old time.
They do.
With Tom Bombadillo.
Yep.
And his wife. His name's Tom Bombadil.
Yeah, Tom Bombadil.
When he sings, he calls himself Tom Bombadillo.
Yep. It's funny that he sings songs about himself.
Yes, he does. Does he? No, he doesn't talk about himself in third person.
No. But
only when he's singing.
Only when he sings.
Yeah. And Goldberry is like a woman of the lake or something, a river woman.
Yeah. I think she, Frodo says that likens her to like the feeling the elves make him feel. So she might be sort of elven.
She's got some sort of magic, but doesn't he sing a song about her like finding her near the river or her being from the river or something like that?
He does.
Yeah.
So, let's see. They get to Tom's house, and they hear Goldberry singing. They stay at Tom's house for a few days, and he tells them stories.
Yep.
All kinds of stories.
Yeah. And he even tells them, like, you know, he's the, what does he call himself? Like, the master of the wood, basically. Yeah. And as long as they're there and they're with him, nothing will get them. So even when they're, like, in the house and it's kind of dark and the shadows are stretching... Even Goldberry says, like, while you're here, you are safe. Like, end of story. It's not... They say it as a fact, not as a thing to soothe them. It's like, no.
This is the way it is.
Yeah.
Yep. So, they wonder who he is for most of the time they're there. And Frodo asks him, and Tom answers simply that he is eldest. He is older than anything else in Middle Earth, and he even remembers the time before Sauron.
Crazy. I need to know more about this man.
I know.
And I'm not going to get it, am I?
Nope. Maybe there's some stuff about him in the Silmarillion?
Maybe. We haven't read the Silmarillion.
I have not had the wherewithal to tackle it, I'll be honest.
I own it. I got it for Christmas. Or my birthday. One of the two.
I also own it in my Kindle library.
Nice.
So, it's there.
Maybe Andy Serkis will read it and then we can really dig in.
I actually do have the audiobook, but it is not Andy Serkis.
That's his next assignment.
Yeah, I need to call him.
Tom asks Frodo about his journey, and Tom has already heard much from Gilder, actually, and from Farmer Maggot.
Yep.
How did Farmer Maggot get a message to him?
I don't know.
I forgot that part.
Tom Bombadil.
That Tom Bombadil. He's got connections. But yeah, so Tom knows what's up, and he asks to see the ring, and to everyone's surprise, when he puts it on his little finger, he does not disappear.
Ooh.
Tom spins the ring in the air and he makes it disappear, but then smilingly hands it back to Frodo. Frodo's like, oh, am I sure this is the same one? But doesn't he put it on for a second and disappears? Like, okay. Whew,
yeah. He has to test it.
It's legit. It's the real deal.
It's the real one.
So after some time of staying with Tom Bombadil, then they leave.
Yep.
And they get caught up by the Barrow, is it the Barrow Whites?
Yep.
Some creatures decide to snatch them all up, and
they're like burial mounds. I googled what Barrow White is, and it's a burial mound.
Because it acted as if it was a creature, but I
think they're creatures that live in the burial mounds. I believe.
Oh, okay. So they just kind of scooped them down into.
They pulled them right down into the earth.
Man.
Yep.
That sounds horrifying.
It sounds like the worst.
Yeah. So, but Frodo wakes up and his friends are still out, and he kind of has this dilemma, like, I could make a run for it, but I'm not going to leave my friends.
Yeah.
Like, he musters up some serious courage.
Yeah.
And then he remembers that Tom told him, if you get in trouble,
Sing this rhyme.
yeah, sing this rhyme and I'll come and get you.
Yeah.
And so he sings the rhyme, and Tom Bombadil comes and saves them.
Mm-hmm.
And then he as he should have before, he gets them to the edge of the forest,
Yes.
and then he sends them on their way. Because Tom Bombadil only has power within his realm that he is master of,
Yes.
which is that forest. So he would be no good to them beyond that. And he basically is just like, hey, I gotta stay here and hang with my wife.
Yeah, I got Goldberry.
Yeah.
She waiting on me.
I got things to do.
Yeah. So this is the road.
Yep.
Go that way, and you get to Bree.
Yeah. Stop getting grabbed by trees and borrow whites and
Yeah.
stop it.
Exactly. Stop getting yourself in all kinds of ruckus.
Been lovely to meet you, though.
Yeah, it's been real. But go on.
Yes.
So now they're on their way to Bree.
Mm-hmm.
Frodo is assuming the name of Mr. Underhill.
Yes, because obviously the name of Baggins is not safe.
Not safe.
So we're using a secret name.
Incognito.
Yeah.
So they get to Bree and they go to the Prancing Pony Inn, and Barleyman Butterbur is the innkeeper.
I liked him.
I did too.
Flighty brained,
Yeah.
but very sweet.
Very kind. He can't be trusted to recall literally anything.
Oh no.
But
Don't give the man a task.
No, he cannot stay on task.
No.
But he's very kind. He sets them up in their room, and they have dinner, and then they go down to like the main drinking hall, and there's a bunch of people in there.
Mm-hmm. At first he kind of tries to keep them separate, but then he can't control them all night. He's busy.
No.
So they start to kind of mingle. At least Sam, Pippin, and Frodo do.
Yeah.
Merry wants some quiet time by the fire.
Yeah. He stays in the room, and he's like, go on, I'm not joining you.
Right.
So, the three hobbits go to the main drinking hall, and they get a lot of attention because they're hobbits, and apparently the Prancing Pony doesn't get a lot of hobbits in.
Not for a while anyway.
for a
And I
while.
think they used to have some on the reg, but not lately.
So they get a lot of attention.
But Frodo gets a little courage juice, and he starts hopping around and singing, and hops himself right into wearing the ring somehow.
Yep, turns himself invisible, freaks everyone out.
Yep.
Gets the attention of Strider.
Thank God it was him and not somebody else, to be honest.
Exactly.
But Strider knows who he is.
Strider knows exactly who he is, and that is no trinket you carry.
Mm-hmm.
We can't help
I know
ourselves.
what hunts you. I think that's only said in the movie, but...
I think you're right.
Oh, Vigo.
It always just reminds me of that scene in Gilmore Girls. Where she's like, if only I had a man like Aragorn. Same.
He's pretty great.
Yeah. I don't know. Dakota could be his Aragorn. If he had... He's trying to grow his hair long.
Yeah.
He's trying it.
Caleb's got the locks.
He does. Yeah.
He just needs the sword skills.
True. He should start practicing.
I'll get him lessons tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm trying to encourage Dakota because he has such great hair.
He does have great hair.
And I'm like, if you have long hair, you have the perfect hair to have it long because it's so nice.
Yeah.
But
his hair has like texture to it.
Yeah. It's also got like a lot of natural like volume and bounce. Like it has...
Why do boys get it? I need some.
He has so much vert on his hair. It's crazy.
Tell him to share with me. I need some.
It's annoying. He just like... And he likes to like get annoyed by it. And I'm like...
It is a gift.
Hey, look at this.
Yeah. You're killing me.
I have to work for this.
Right. Oh, gosh.
Men.
I know.
So, anywho,
Frodo and Aragorn are just having some chats.
They're having some chats, and Frodo wants to trust him.
He's not fully convinced.
Not convinced, but he wants someone to guide them.
Yes.
I think. In his little heart, he is hopeful.
Yeah.
He's like, oh.
Yep.
So, when they all return to their rooms, Strider follows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Not in a sneaky way. They all kind of go together.
He's not lurking.
Yeah.
So the hobbits are kind of distrustful, especially Sam. Sam is very distrustful of Strider.
He is like hardcore, ready to take a bullet.
Yeah.
A horse hoof. He is the definition of ride or die. That Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, he's ready to square up immediately.
Yep.
And Strider, he kind of just looks a little vagabondy, you know?
A bit worse for wear.
Yeah, he's a bit weathered. And this is kind of what leads the charge in them not trusting him.
Right.
And he was sitting in the corner with like his hood up and all like dark and mysterious.
That's what riders do.
That's what they do. So they...
Not riders. Rangers. That's what rangers do. My bad.
Yeah.
I mean, riders wear their hoods too, but rangers.
Rangers. So after a little while, they kind of warm up to him. He has a lot of information about the Black Riders, and he even saw them speaking to the gatekeeper at the inn a few days prior. Let's see. He warns them of other people in Bree, including a man named Bill Fernie, a swarthy fellow.
Yep.
Are not to be trusted.
No.
So he's trying to give them good advice here. Don't trust these peeps.
Right.
Be careful.
Right. And then Butterbur, I almost said busts in. He doesn't bust in. You know, he knocks and enters. But it sounds better. Butterbur busts in.
It does sound more.
But he explains to Frodo, because when Frodo first came in, he was like, Underhill, that name sounds familiar. Oh, that makes me think of something. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
Finally, he remembers, and he tells him this whole story of how, like, Gandalf was there, and he told Butterbur to, write a letter Gandalf wrote a letter for Frodo, and then Butterbur was supposed to send somebody to give it to Frodo, like, months ago.
Yeah, like 4 months prior or something.
Butterbur. So, yeah, Butterbur forgot and just now remembered and gave it to Frodo. So he's got a little bit of an idea. Okay, so Gandalf was here.
Yeah.
He isn't just...
out in the winds.
Right. But, Butterbur goofed up.
Yeah.
A bit. A lot of bit.
Big goof.
If Frodo had gotten on the road 4 months ago, we wouldn't be in such dire straits.
That's right.
And then, but Gandalf talks about Strider or Aragorn in the letter, and so the lads start to trust him.
They start to trust him.
And they were like, why didn't you tell us before? He was like, well, if you weren't going to, trust me before that, I wanted to wait till I knew you could trust me. So it didn't seem false, basically.
Yeah.
So.
And I think what really wins it for Sam is that there's some like lines at the end about Aragorn, and he recites them without having seen the letter. And Sam's like, all right, fine.
All right, you're a friend, okay.
And, so they plan to leave the next day, early. So Aragorn wakes them up early, and they go to their room, and they discover that, because they had slept in his room all night. Yeah, so they slept in Aragorn's room.
Yes, because they thought that some of those
people would tell the Black Riders where they were sleeping.
And they were right, because those Black Riders showed up.
And they overturned and slashed their beds and bedding and everything. Their room is a wreck. And so their ponies were all let loose, along with all of the other horses that were stabled at the inn.
Yeah, so there's no horses.
Literally none.
Except for one.
He's old and
sick. That they buy from
Bill Fernie.
Who's not trustworthy. But Bill Fernie doesn't think anything about selling them this old horse, because he's just looking to turn a profit. And he's like, what are they going to do with this old busted horse?
Yeah.
But Bill, the horse, turns out to be quite the companion. So
he does. He turns out to be
Nana Boo Boo to Bill Fernie.
Suck it, Bill Fernie. So they end up having to leave much later than they wanted, and the entire town watches them go, which they wanted to avoid.
Yep.
So that sucks.
Yep. But they're just leaving on foot, and they just have the horse to kind of help carry some things, but
and
they're having to travel pretty light.
They're having to travel light, which for hobbits who need rest and food pretty often, this is not ideal.
No.
So, but they set out. Aragorn's leading them at a swift pace, and they make it to Weathertop.
Yep.
And they see signs that someone had already been there and camped. And there's a rock with an elven rune symbol carved into it. And this leads them to think that Gandalf had passed through there recently.
Yes.
In great haste. So Aragorn actually thinks Gandalf may have been attacked while he was there.
Yeah, because he was in such a hurry.
Yeah.
Or at least thought he was being, like, chased.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the group is going to stay at Weathertop. They're in, like, a little hollow inside of the hill.
Yeah.
They light a fire, and then Frodo kind of thinks that he senses some black specks moving around far below them. Turns out it's the Black Riders.
Oh, gosh.
God damn it.
And they unlike the movie, they had been very careful. They were trying to be quiet, but, I mean, they had no choice. They would have to light fires at some point, you know. So they weren't being careless. It's just these riders narrowly missed them in Bree.
Yep.
And I think having been in the area, they just kind of... And Weathertop, too, when they went to the top, they stayed a little too long. And when you're up there, you can be seen really easily.
Exactly.
So, unfortunately, those Black Riders saw them.
They did indeed. So, obviously, Frodo brings us to Aragorn, and he decides that they should stay where they are, because trying to move would make them more vulnerable, obviously.
Yeah.
So.
Because the riders have horses. They do not.
And they're really, really fast as well.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that like the book describes them as not having bodies, but just like being smoke.
Yeah.
Essentially like held together by this
robe.
Cloak. Yeah. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Okay. So at this point, Sam has wandered off. And he runs back from the edge of the dell and says he feels a strange dread, and the group gathers around the fire and watches as the dark shapes come over the hill. Merry and Pip throw themselves to the ground in panic, and Sam kind of shrinks to Frodo's side, and Frodo suddenly feels a terrible desire to put the ring on. And he does.
He doesn't resist this time. He does.
Nope, he puts it on.
Yep. But unfortunately, that makes it actually easier for the black shapes, aka the riders, to see him.
Yep.
And so they get to him and they stab him.
Yep. They stab him with a
Morgul blade.
Morgul blade.
But when Frodo's in the state, he can see them clearer, too. And it's said that they had deathly white faces and terrible eyes, and that they're robed in gray and carry swords. The tallest one wore a crown, and that's the one that stabbed Frodo. He had a knife and a sword, and he got him.
Yep, got him right in the shoulder. And then Aragorn leaps in. He's got fire in each hand, and kind of fends them away with the fire. Right,
because that's kind of why they don't feel too scared of lighting fires, I just remember, because fire kind of wards them off.
Yeah.
So.
Right. So, and then Frodo takes off the ring and just kind of passes out.
Yeah. And yeah, they just, after that, they leave Weathertop and they just kind of have a difficult journey.
Yeah.
They have to get some FLS or Kingsfoil or whatever to help with his wound, but it's not, he doesn't decline
that rapidly.
Super rapidly. It's kind of slow.
Yeah,
and
he's
they
lucid.
kind of I was gonna say he kind of maintains and kind of suffers through, but he just doesn't really improve.
Yeah, he like becomes increasingly more fatigued and weak as they go. It's like 2 weeks or something. It's a long time.
And the wound closes, but there's like a shard in there, so it's weakening him.
Yeah. So on the last leg of because they're headed to Rivendell, and on the last leg they hear hooves behind them. They hide, but it turns out not to be one of the Black Riders, but it is Glorfindel.
Glorfindel, thank you for showing up.
He is an elf lord and a friend of Aragorn, who lives in Rivendell.
Yep.
He had left several days prior to find them, and so...
Because they hadn't shown up in Rivendell yet.
They hadn't made it to Rivendell. And so they put Frodo on Glorfindel's horse and tell him to ride ahead. Frodo obviously doesn't want to abandon his friends. Right,
but they're like, yeah, but if there's danger, the danger's going to follow you on the horse, so you're actually going to do your friends a favor.
Exactly.
And I think that's what convinces him.
Yeah, it is. So they are getting closer to Rivendell, and they approach the ford of the Bruinen River.
Which is just kind of like at the edge of Rivendell, right?
Yeah. So it's like really close. And as they come out, Glorfindel hears the sound of the Black Riders behind them, and he basically sends Frodo for the ford on the other side.
Right. Like, Frodo's on this horse alone, and he's like, get after it. You got to run now. It's time to go.
Exactly. And there are 4 riders who've been waiting, leap out from the trees ahead to intercept Frodo before he actually gets there, but Glorfindel's horse carries them across the river just in time.
And then the riders just continue to close in.
Yeah.
But thankfully, all of a sudden, Frodo gets a little brave. He calls out to them to return to Mordor, the land of Sauron, but the riders just laugh at him, and they're like, yeah, we'll go and we'll take you with us. Whatever. And but just as they start to approach him, a rush of white water fills the Brunnen River, and it rises up and it overwhelms them. The waves actually kind of take shape of like horses, and it takes them under. And then Frodo slips into unconsciousness, either probably from his wound, from exhaustion,
all of it,
all of the above. And the last thing he sees is the riders kind of being swept away.
Yep. And then he wakes up and he's in Rivendell.
And who's there but Gandalf?
Just sitting next to him.
Yep. Where you been?
Been waiting for you. So Elrond was able to heal his wound just in time.
Yeah, because that little bit had like really dug in there.
If they hadn't gotten it when they did, he would have become a ring wraith just like the Black Riders.
Woof.
Which Gandalf then explains
a little bit
Frodo
more, a little bit more
what
they are.
They are the Nazgul.
And they are the nine men who received rings from Sauron.
Yep. They are neither living nor dead.
Mm-hmm. Fun times.
We're in Rivendell. It's a jolly old place. And there's a party, obviously, because Frodo is now feeling better. He's awakened.
Yep.
He was out for several days.
Yeah, or something.
Something like that. He was out.
Yeah.
And
Does Gandalf tell him what happened to him yet, or is that a little later? Like why he was delayed? Does he kind of give him... That's later, I think.
Later, at the council.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But so they're having a dinner party. Bilbo's actually there in Rivendell, but does he see him at that dinner party?
He sees him like as he's leaving the dinner party. So he sits with Gloin. Gloin talks Zir off about dwarf history.
Yeah.
And then they're walking out and he sees Bilbo.
Yeah.
And they have a nice old chit chat.
Yeah, he's happy to see him.
Yeah. And Bilbo tells him that he's been seeing him a lot for the last couple days, but Frodo hasn't been seeing him.
Right, because he's been passed out.
Yeah.
And before they have the council, some time passes, right? And Bilbo and Frodo kind of hang out, or is that after the council? I guess it doesn't really matter.
I think it's both, actually.
Yeah.
Because they are in Rivendell for like a couple of months.
Yeah.
So I think it's both. But there's probably some between them, this and the council.
Yeah.
But
we end up having the council, and there's a lot more talking in the book over it, but there's a lot of discussion between hiding the ring and destroying the ring. They ultimately decide that those are their only two options.
Basically,
hide it or destroy it.
Yeah, because they can't use it because essentially it's trying to get back to Sauron.
Right. Anyone who uses it is going to eventually be corrupted, and then it will get into Sauron's hands.
Exactly. Period.
So, and we can't hide it because it will eventually be found.
Yeah.
So, we got to destroy it.
That's the only way.
And then we got to decide who's going to go do that.
And who is it? Would you have a guess? Well, actually, first it's Bilbo volunteers.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll take it because I'm the one who got it from Gollum.
Right. It's kind of my fault.
Kind of my fault. But I almost just said Dumbledore. Whoa.
Oops.
Gandalf and Elrond are like, no.
No, because especially after losing the ring or letting go of the ring, he's
now aging.
He's his age now.
Yeah.
He's 111,
No.
He's not as spry as he used to be.
Yeah, poor old Bilbo, not going to make the journey to Mordor.
Yeah, no.
So then, obviously, Frodo is like, all right, well, I'll take it.
Yeah. And at this council, we've got a representative from, like, every group. We've got elves, dwarves, men, and that's where Boromir and Legolas and Gimli all come in.
Yep.
And, as we said, there's bickering, but basically it all ends with, okay, Frodo's going to take it. And then Elrond kind of takes some time to decide who's going to go with.
Yep.
He doesn't decide in that moment. He takes some time.
He does. Yeah, because I think, the council disperses, and then they come back together after a while.
Yeah.
And Elrond tells them, this is who is going to go with you. And he chooses Frodo, obviously, Sam, Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, Boromir, Merry, and Pippin. Mm-hmm. And they leave 2 months later.
Yep.
They were not swift in their departure.
No.
They're not swift.
Most of their departures are never swift. They hang places for a little while.
They do.
And then they go.
Yeah.
It's not quick.
The Yawns.
I'm so sorry.
They're taking over.
I know.
Okay, so they've left Rivendell at this point, and now they have to cross the Misty Mountains. And they need to decide how they're going to get across them.
Yeah.
So there is the Path of Caradhras, which passes beside one of the tallest peaks. This is Aragorn's choice. So that's where they start, and then the blizzard hits.
Yep.
It's like mad snow. The hobbits, they stand no chance.
No, they're buried.
It's, Aragorn and Boromir have to dig holes in the snow.
Yeah.
And carry them because the snow is so deep.
And it's getting to a point where it's the hobbits definitely aren't going to make it. I don't know that the rest of us are going to make it much longer either.
Yeah. And
I think Legolas is the only one that's just
he can just
he's fine.
Yeah, it said he is so light-footed that he can just prance right along the top of the snow.
You know what? Get out of here.
Come on, Legolas. So obviously they're forced to turn back because it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Yep.
And as soon as they turn back, the snow stops.
Almost as if someone's trying to impede their path.
Yeah, as long as it seems like there might be some magic afoot.
Right.
Which there is.
Yeah. Yes, because we find out that Gandalf was delayed because the man who is his friend, Saruman, is not his ally anymore.
No.
He is not Saruman the White, but Saruman. It's something about the coat, not like Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, but he's Saruman.
Turncoat?
Something.
I don't remember.
I looked it up the other day.
What I did think was interesting is I think it refers to Isengard as Orthunk. In your book, is it Isengard?
You know what? Maybe it doesn't. I don't think it did call it Isengard, but I don't remember now.
I have it as Orthunk? Othunk? Yeah, Orthunk.
It probably is.
Weird.
Yeah, it's Saruman of many colors.
Aha. That makes sense now.
Yeah, because and he kind of scoffs at Gandalf when Gandalf calls him Saruman the White.
Yeah, he does.
He just makes a little, noise or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he reveals himself to be Saruman of many colors, and he's been turned by the enemy.
He has.
Because he has it in his head that
there's no other way.
No, that him and Gandalf can share the Ring of Power with Sauron. Yeah, Sauron does not share power.
Yeah, he does not.
Least of all, neither would Saruman either.
No.
And Gandalf's like, don't play me.
Yeah. No, that would never... Come on.
Right. So Saruman is trying to impede their progress any way he can.
Yes.
Sending spies with birds and all kinds of stuff.
Yep. And now... So, since they can't go through the pass of Caradhras, they're left with what Gandalf thinks is the only option, and that's going through the Mines of Moria.
Yeah, it's something that Gandalf reluctantly decides is really their only option.
Yeah, and Aragorn is displeased.
Yeah.
He really didn't want to go through the Mines of Moria.
No.
But they do.
Their other path was not possible.
Nope. Impossible. So they go to the western door of Moria. It's near a dark lake by the side of the mountain. So they're going under the Misty Mountains, basically.
Yeah.
And they...
They have to wait for the secret door to reveal itself.
Yeah.
For one.
They have to wait for the door, and then they have to give the password.
Right.
Basically. It's like a little riddle.
And actually, I think Boromir is the one that's like throwing stones in the water, disturbing it. Because they're bored, they're hanging out. It's like, hey, don't mess with the water.
Yeah, and they have to let Bill go. Bill the pony.
Yeah, Bill the pony. Sam's so sad.
Sam is really sad.
Because Bill the pony thrives while he's with them. He's happier with them than he ever was with Bill Ferny.
He's like really healthy and sprightly. And
I do like that that Tolkien told us that their other ponies that were like let loose and breed, that they found their way to Tom Bombadil.
Yeah.
And that Tom like took care of them. And then Tom sent them back to Butterbur or whatever.
Yeah.
And that they were well taken care of. And I just thought, I was like, thank you for that aside. So I wasn't sitting here worrying about these ponies this whole time.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
That was very thoughtful.
It was so thoughtful.
He knew that people were going to be worried about those ponies.
Yeah.
Of course. So, yeah, they're by this lake. They're waiting on this door to reveal itself. And then they're waiting on Gandalf to figure out the riddle. It says, speak friend and enter. And I think it's Mary who...
Can't remember. I think Gandalf just sort of goes, aha, I'm an idiot. Why did this take me so long?
Yeah. It's the Elvish word for friend.
Yeah.
So it basically is telling you what to do in the riddle.
Yep.
So they get the door open, but then because Boromir has been tossing rocks in the lake, there's a big lake creature in there, and it gets its tentacles out, and it's swooping in.
Yep.
Smacks Frodo.
We gotta fight it off, and then by fighting it off and like getting into the door, then there's like a avalanche of rock. And so there ain't no going back out that door, even if they wanted to.
Nope, they're stuck now.
No.
So here we are. We're in the mines.
Yep, in the mines of Moria. Yeah, they go to a couple different areas, but we basically end up in this one room.
Yeah.
That is a large square chamber that's dimly lit by the sun through some huge shafts in the mountain above. In the middle of the room is this block of stone, and it's inscribed, and it ends up being the tombstone of Balin, the Dwarf King.
Who we know from The Hobbit.
Yep, another old friend. But Gimli casts his hood over his face in mourning, because I don't think he knew.
Nope, they were unsure.
Yep. So inside the chamber that contains Balin's tomb, Gandalf finds a half-burned book among the bones and the broken shields. And the tome is actually a record of Balin's people in Moria, and it tells of their last days when they were besieged both by hordes of orcs and by a mysterious force much more ominous than the orcs. And the final page of the record, hastily scrawled, is terrifying in its vagueness. We cannot get out. Drums in the deep. They are coming. That is terrifying.
That is they are coming.
Can you imagine being trapped in a huge, dark, basically tomb under a mountain?
Yeah.
And it's like, we're trapped. We can't get out. The drums, they're coming. And it's just like, when's that going to happen to us? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's very, very crazy.
Yeah.
Side note, whenever rereading this, really made it obvious how much Sarah J. Maas was inspired by Lord of the Rings for Throne of Glass. Mm-hmm. Like, whenever the Volg army is marching on them, they have the bone drums, and they're all in black. They're coming from Morath. They're looking for word keys.
Yeah.
So there's like a trinket that they're looking for that holds their powers.
Right. But I still feel like she makes it so wholly her own.
Oh, for sure.
So that people that criticize her for taking a little bit, it's like everything takes from something.
Exactly.
Especially these days. So get over it.
Yeah, nothing is new. Everything has been written. So, and so many really great books are like retellings of something else.
Yeah.
So I don't get the criticism.
No, I don't either.
Because it when I first read it, I had already read Lord of the Rings multiple times.
Yeah.
When I was reading it, I didn't think Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, you weren't like, this is ripped off.
No.
You just thought of the parallels probably after the fact.
I did. Yeah, it wasn't. I thought of like Morath, Mordor. And I was like, oh, that's like a cute nod.
Yeah.
But then rereading Lord of the Rings, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's an aside.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're in this room and they're scared, obviously. And they're about to leave and they hear the drums.
Oh my gosh. It's like the drums from Jumanji. You know some stuff's gonna happen and
right.
it is not gonna be good.
And obviously then they hear thundering feet and they're like, all right, well, let's bar the doors.
Mm-hmm.
And then orcs just swarming. And they've got a cave troll.
Battling.
Orcs, trolls.
Battling, attacking.
Frodo stabs the cave troll with Sting. And then the orcs break through the door. There's fighting. There's all kinds of things. And then Gandalf sees a chance to escape. And he leads the company through the door. But the orc chieftain, not the cave troll. In the movie, it's a cave troll. Mm-hmm. But the orc chieftain stabs Frodo in the side. And everyone's like, oh my god, Frodo's dead.
Yep. He's like, I'm okay. I'm sore, but let's go.
Yep. He's still alive because he's wearing a shirt of Mithril.
Yep. And it's funny because while they're walking through, they're talking about Mithril because part of the issue here is that they dug too deep and it was Durin's Bane.
Yep.
That happened because of that.
Yep.
And they're just talking about how Mithril is so valuable and they wonder what happened to any of it. And that they were talking about the rumors of Bilbo receiving possibly a shirt of Mithril, you know, and all this stuff. So yeah, that's when Frodo decides to be like, oh yeah, Bilbo gave me this.
I'm wearing this Mithril.
Yeah. And instead of being, you know, mad or jealous or whatever, Gimli's just like, I am thrilled that he gave this to you.
Yeah. Oh, Gimli.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I agree. He's probably also really thankful to be able to see it.
Yes, I think that too.
Yeah. So we're running.
Yeah.
We're sprinting and they come to like a second hall and now they have to cross this bridge, the bridge of Khazad-dûm. Mm-hmm. It sounds really menacing.
It is. It does, and it is.
So it's a tiny little arch of rock over a bottomless pit, essentially. So they are all like trying to run across this bridge. They look back and Legolas cries out in horror. Gimli covers his eyeballs. And this is when we see the Balrog.
The Balrog. Which is Durin's Bane.
Yep. And this is basically a demon. Mm-hmm. Fire demon.
Not as cute in the face, I think, as they made it in the movie.
They did make it kind of cute. It had its little horns.
Yeah, its little cat face.
Yeah.
It sounds like a terrifying fire monster.
Yeah. It's a shadow and flame is what it's.
And whips. It's got a whip
of flame. So Gandalf commands all of the other ones to get across the bridge, and he stands in front of the Balrog and he fights him. You know, he's got his staff. He breaks the bridge in two. Mm-hmm. The Balrog falls, but its whip comes up, grabs Gandalf by the ankle, and pulls him down.
Yep. Before he's lost, he tells them, "Fly, you fools." And he urges them to get out of there.
He does. And then he just, like, free falls. He knows he's got to get down there and take on this demon.
Take care of business.
That's right.
Taking care of business.
That's what he's always doing. Working all the time.
Yep.
Fly, you fools.
Yes.
Oh, Sir Ian McKellen.
Oh. He is perfection.
He is the perfect Gandalf.
Yeah. All the casting in this.
Oh, spot on.
The film. Spot on. Yep.
Yep.
We can't
do it.
We can't go there, but we're just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, they finally get out and like a mile or so away, and they just collapse in grief.
Yeah, they're so sad.
But unfortunately, there is not a ton of time to be woeful.
Nope.
And we've got to get going.
Yep.
So Aragorn actually assumes command of the group, and even though they all feel incredibly hopeless, he leads them away from the Misty Mountains and toward the elvish forests of Lothlorien.
Mm-hmm. Yep, they're going to Lothlorien.
Yep, they enter the woods as night is falling, and then suddenly they're actually stopped by a group of elves, led by one named Haldir, who he's actually been watching them from the trees. I think at one point, like, they can kind of hear elves singing or talking or something, and Sam's like, what are they saying? And they actually say about Sam that you're breathing so loud they could shoot you in the dark. I was like, oh, dang.
Dang.
But,
shade.
Yeah. But luckily, the elves recognize Legolas as family, as kin, and they also know and have heard of, something of Frodo's quest, so they bring them up to their little tree platforms.
Yep, they do. They do. And they are going to walk them all back to, like, the main part of Lothlorien. They do... This part made me sad whenever they're, like, going to blindfold just Gimli.
Yeah.
Because there's, like, some weird elf-dwarf
tension.
beef.
We don't really learn, like, what the cause of the beef is.
Mm-mm. No, we don't, but...
And Gimli doesn't really show a lot of that. I mean, like, him and Legolas bicker a little.
Yeah.
But not a ton.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they're like, we'll take you, but we need to blindfold
the dwarf. And Gimli is pissed. He doesn't want to be blindfolded. So Aragorn's like, we will all be blindfolded.
Right.
Including Legolas.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, okay.
But I like that Gimli's like, I would actually just be happy if they just blindfold me and Legolas. And Aragorn's like, no, no, no.
All of us will
All
be
of us.
blindfolded.
I liked that moment too.
Yeah. So they're blindfolded. They get taken to Caras Galadhon.
Yep.
Sure. It's the main city of Lorien.
So is Lorien different than Lothlorien?
I think Lorien is just short for Lothlorien.
Okay.
So there they are. Now they're brought before Lord Celeborn. Do you think that's Celeborn or Celeborn?
I think it's Celeborn.
Okay, Celeborn. I wish that C and C were not spelled with a C.
No, honestly, C is a superfluous letter because it either sounds like a K or it sounds like an S.
Yeah, so just eliminate it and
Goodbye.
give us an S or a K.
Yes.
English? Oh,
C is C. We don't need you.
exactly. So we've got Celeborn and Lady Galadriel, the rulers of Lorien. So Galadriel is like, you can take their blindfolds off. They're fine.
Right.
They're good.
Right.
So Aragorn is speaking for the group. He tells them that Gandalf is lost in Moria, and Galadriel is sad because she knew Gandalf. Celeborn blames the dwarves for waking the Balrog. But Galadriel is kind of like, nah, it's not Gimli's fault.
Right. Like, let's not do this now.
Yeah, don't do this.
That's not this man's fault.
She knows the purpose of their quest. She knows about the ring. And she looks at each of them.
Kind of has a private little aside combo.
Has kind of like a mind-to-mind with each of them.
Yeah.
And that's...
Boromir's...
He is shaken.
He does not like it.
Nope. He is shaken.
Yes.
So they're in... How long are they in Lorien? They're in Lorien for a little while.
They hang out everywhere.
They
It
do hang out
seems
everywhere.
far too long.
Yeah.
I know they're tired. They need some rest.
They
but
do. Yeah.
There is not a lot of haste in this journey.
Nope.
But then we kind of get a moment where Galadriel calls Sam and Frodo, or kind of comes over to Sam and Frodo and like leads them to this basin, which is her mirror. And looking into it, one can see visions of far off places and times. But interpreting these visions is dangerous. But Galadriel fills the basin with the water from the nearby stream. And when Sam looks in the mirror, he sees parts of Hobbiton being torn up and what looks like a factory spewing smoke. And for a moment, he wishes to run back home, but then, masters himself.
Right.
And then Frodo sees many things: a bent old figure clad in white, ships on the sea, a white fortress, and before a final vision of a great dark eye rimmed in fire. And then he realizes the eye is searching for him.
Ooh, the Eye of Sauron.
Eye of Sauron.
After this vision, Galadriel actually comforts Frodo. She tells him that she can perceive the mind of Sauron and resist his efforts to perceive hers. That's masterful.
She is amazing.
She really is. This is when Frodo notices the ring on her finger, and she tells him that it is indeed one of the 3 elven rings of power. Whoa.
Crazy.
But Sauron doesn't know that she actually has it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
She tells Frodo that if he were to fail, Sauron would be able to overpower her. But if Frodo succeeds, the power of the elves will fade because it is still... I think they are still kind of linked to the Ring of Power, just not controlled by it.
Yeah. That was a little hazy to me.
Yeah. So when the one ring is destroyed, the other rings will basically cease to work.
Yes. Yeah, the elven rings will cease to work.
So, yeah. Either way leads to sadness, but Galadriel obviously prefers the latter.
Yeah.
So, Frodo, at this point, he's overwhelmed. And he offers her the ring to keep. And she is like, nah, no thank you.
Yeah. She has the same cool speech, or very similar speech as she does in the film. It's a cool moment.
It is. And she's like, you know what? That would corrupt me, and I'm going to go with the no.
Right. Yeah.
Thanks
I passed the test.
Yeah.
So I proved to myself.
I got it.
I got this.
I got the strength. What's up?
Yeah, the time comes and the company is going to set off on their journey again after how long we don't know, but they've been hanging for a little bit. Celeborn gives each member the option of staying in Lorien or, to head on to their journey, and they all choose to go.
They're a brave little host.
I know.
They are.
They are. But their next destination, however, is undecided, and Boromir wants to go to the city of Minas Tirith, but it's on the other side of the river from Mordor, where the ring must ultimately go. But luckily, the company does not have to decide for a few days, as the elves have provided them with boats that they'll use to float down the Great River. Anduin, which leads out of Lorien, and then only when they reach a point where they cannot go any further on the Great River is when they'll have to decide whether to go east or west. And during their debates, Frodo doesn't really say anything, and Aragorn says very little, and the company as a whole remains undecided. Boromir, however, shows a strange reluctance to destroy the ring at all.
Right.
He wants to bring the ring to
Gondor. He does. He doesn't seem to understand that the ring cannot be used against Sauron.
Yeah, he keeps thinking that it's something that can be used against the enemy, and it's just not.
It is not.
No.
It's not gonna help.
Nope.
So, the elves also present the fellowship with many gifts. They give them lembas bread, which are wafers of long-lasting meal, provide a day's worth of energy. They give them ropes, magic cloaks that provide warmth in the cold and cool in the heat. They're light and strong. And they are also like camouflage.
Yeah, especially in rock and something else, in a couple different scenarios. It can be very useful. They
have one last meal with Celeborn and Galadriel.
Mm-hmm.
And then Galadriel has to give him her gifts. There are so many gifts.
I was gonna say this part lasted longer than I expected as well.
I know. The gifts and the gifts and the gifts.
Gifts and the food and the hangs and the gifts and the food and the hangs.
I mean, I want to live that life.
Yeah.
I want some gifts and I want some food and I want to hang out.
Adopt me for a time, Galadriel. Come on.
Yeah, I will stay in Lorien.
Yeah.
Not opposed.
Right. So Galadriel presents the fellowship with even more gifts. To Aragorn, she gives a sheath for his sword Anduril. Is it like any sword that's put in there will not break or rust or whatever? So a pretty sweet gift. And she also gives him a green gem and a silver brooch. Boromir, Merry, and Pippin each receive belts of silver or gold, and Legolas receives a longer, stouter bow. Sam gets a box of dirt from Galadriel's orchard that, when sprinkled anywhere, will cause the earth to burst into bloom.
Aww.
That, I thought, was such a beautiful gift, and I was like, Sam is going to make the prettiest garden ever.
Oh my god.
It's going to be amazing. So then Galadriel asks Gimli what his request would be, because she just, I guess, couldn't think of a gift for him, or like couldn't fathom what a dwarf would possibly want from an elf.
Right.
So to her great shock and the shock of the other elves, he reluctantly asks for one strand of Galadriel's hair as a memento and a token of good faith between their races. And just basically as a token to remember him looking upon her beautiful self, which I thought was so incredibly sweet. He has such deep wells of softness and kindness and sweetness. I thought it was adorable.
He's a big old softie.
Yep. So, and she agrees. She's not creeped out, or she's like, if that's what you want,
sure, you got it.
Here you go. And then lastly, Galadriel gives Frodo a phial of water in which is caught the light of Arundel's star. But the time has now come, now that Christmas is over. It's not really Christmas time. All the presents have been passed out. It's time for the fellowship to leave. And Galadriel sings to them as they float down the river and out of sight of Lorien.
That's right.
Yeah.
So now they're just on the river. And they're on the river for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And one night, Sam thinks he sees two pale eyes shining out of a log floating nearby. Mm-hmm. And it seems to be heading for Gimli's boat. So Sam mentions it to Frodo. And he then remembers hearing the pattering noises following them in Moria, the strange creature in Lorien, and suspects that Gollum has been following them. Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Yep.
Oh,
sorry. I was just going to say, we learn a lot about Gollum really in like the first half when like Gandalf is in the Shire with Frodo.
Yeah.
We learn a lot of that information there, where in the movie or something, we kind of have those moments in the Mines of Moria. Mm-hmm. But that's when, even in the Shire, that's when Frodo's like, why didn't Bilbo just kill him? And Gandalf is like, because he was being merciful and pitied him, And then that's when he has that like great like conversation about like, a lot of people get death that don't deserve it. Can you give life to them? And it's like that decision's not so easily made.
Exactly.
So even though Gollum is pursuing him, Frodo kind of does have like this thought in the back of his head, that Gandalf told him.
Yeah.
He doesn't really communicate it, but I can only imagine that's going to play a part later, obviously. But they got their peepers peeled for this little dude.
They do. So Frodo the next night keeps watch, and he again sees a dark shape swim close to the boats, and he draws his sword. And then Aragorn confirms Frodo's suspicions and says that he too has seen Gollum and tried unsuccessfully to catch him.
Yeah. Because as we said before, he's a wily little guy. He's been captured and snuck out of a few captures. So they continue their journey, and the current takes them swiftly onward to the gates of Argonath, which is a narrow passage between two immense cliffs guarded by two gigantic statues, which are the likenesses of Aragorn's ancestors Isildur and Anarion. Which they must now at last choose to go either west to Minas Tirith or east to Mordor. That night, Aragorn is uneasy and wakes during Frodo's watch. He asks Frodo to take out his sword, Sting, and as he suspected it would, the sword actually glows faintly, indicating that orcs are near, though they do not know how near.
Oof.
Yeah.
So the next morning, Aragorn basically just is like, hey, Frodo has to decide where the ring's going to go. And the rest of the company can continue where they will.
Yeah.
Like, this is the important decision. The rest of you, whatever.
Right. It's sort of like you can, just like they did in Lorien, it's like sort of like you can go your own way. You can go with Frodo. You know, we can take different little side missions, but this decision right here is gonna be a big deal.
Exactly. And so Frodo asks for an hour alone to decide, and he walks through the woods, and secretly Boromir is following him.
Mm-hmm.
So once they are kind of out of hearing of the rest of the crew, he approaches Frodo, and he tries to convince him to go to Minas Tirith and not throw the ring away, and instead use it as a weapon against Sauron. So Frodo, he obviously refuses. Duh. And Boromir is pissed and is suddenly overcome with an uncontrollable desire for the ring. So he leaps toward Frodo, and Frodo basically just puts the ring on to get away.
Right.
And then the madness leaves Boromir, and he realizes what he's done, and he falls to the ground and weeps.
Yep.
Because he's a good guy at the...
He is. He's easily manipulated as this story shows or
illustrates.
says a lot that the hearts of men are very weak. Not all men,
but
a lot of men.
Yeah. So, oof. And this is when Frodo kind of realizes he's got to go to Mordor alone.
Yeah, because, I mean, he already watched the ring corrupt Boromir. It's like, I can't risk that.
Yeah. Yep. Yikes.
So, yeah, I love that it talks about how Frodo loves those whom he can trust far too much to lead them to what seems a certain death. So that's kind of part of his decision as well.
It is, yeah.
But,
oh,
I know. But while Frodo's gone, the others are down at the shore, and they're starting to worry, and they're debating among themselves, like, where the ring should go, and wondering why Frodo is taking so long to decide, because, again, he asked for, like, an hour, and it's been hours, I think.
Yeah.
And then, don't they kind of go, like, hey, where's Boromir? And that's when Boromir shows up.
Yeah.
And he's, like, sad and grim, and he tells them that he scared Frodo off. And although Boromir does not reveal that he tried to take the ring from Frodo, he does let them know that he
scared him off.
Yeah. So, filled with concern, they scatter through the woods, and they're calling out to Frodo, trying to find him. In vain, Aragorn insists that they divide up into pairs and search, and he runs off after Sam and sends Boromir to look after Merry and Pippin.
Yeah.
But then Aragorn quickly catches up to Sam and tells him that he thinks that there is danger near. So the ranger, aka Aragorn, decides to go up to the top of Amon Hen and look around. And then Sam hurries after Aragorn for a bit, but then soon loses sight of him. And then when Sam stops, he kind of realizes that Frodo's probably making for the boats. He's like, he's been gone for a while on purpose. He's intending to go to Mordor alone.
Yeah.
So he quickly dashes down to the shore to see if the boats are still there, and he sees one slipping into the river kind of seemingly on its own.
Yep. So he runs after it, splashes off into the water.
Yep.
Pretty much drowns.
Yep. Because as we said before, there are some hobbit folk that are like boat faring and river liking, but most of them are not, and most of them that are like in the Shire don't play in the water and don't know how to swim.
Yeah, definitely not any Hobbiton hobbits.
No.
Which Sam is a Hobbiton hobbit.
Yes, through and through.
Through and through. So Frodo is then forced to save Sam from drowning and pulls him into the boat.
Not forced, like he reluctantly saves him. It's just like, oh, he's drowning. I gotta do something about this.
Yes, it makes him turn around and save him. So then Sam refuses to be left behind, and Frodo is relieved, of course.
Yeah.
Accepts his company, and Sam grabs his pack, and they head toward Mordor.
Yep.
And that's the end.
Yeah, that's where the book ends. I do want to note, I forgot to say earlier, that Gilder is the one that tells Sam not to leave Frodo. It's not Gandalf.
Yep.
It's Gilder who says, "Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee."
Yep.
And I don't mean to.
Yep.
He says so.
They had to give it to Gandalf because they didn't have Gilder in the
Exactly.
movie. Yep.
But I think that even if someone hadn't charged him with that responsibility, Sam still would have gone after him anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like, oh, well, they told me not to leave him, so I gotta go. I think he would have done it regardless, because he already proved how loyal and fierce he was.
I agree. He definitely would have gone with him.
Yep.
Okay, so before we get into our final thoughts, we usually do our next novel.
Should we leave them on a cliffhanger and not tell them?
Ooh, you know what? We should leave them on a cliffhanger.
Normally we tell you what we're gonna read next, but we're not gonna tell you.
Nope, not this time.
Is it gonna be another We Watched Movies? Like, maybe. Is it gonna be a surprise book? Maybe.
Maybe. You don't know.
And we aren't gonna tell you until the episode comes out.
Ooh. Excite.
We are heading into spooky season.
We are. Hey.
This kind of was a good book. It had some spooky moments.
It does.
So,
I mean, ring wraiths.
yeah.
Demons.
Yeah. I feel like we rushed through some spots. Like, I hope I didn't cut out a lot of the things that you wanted to say about the discussion about the ring. But there's just there's a lot of resting and a lot of talking.
Yeah, there is.
And it's not bad.
It's enjoyable to read, but when you're doing a recap, those aren't the things you want to put in it.
No.
But when you're reading through it, it's
enjoyable.
Fun. And,
yes.
Yeah.
Just deepens the moment and the world, and it's great. But hard to not hard to convey, just tedious to convey to you.
Yeah.
Just go read it.
Yeah, just read Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah. You can get it on Kindle.
Yeah. If you're going to listen to it, the guy that on this one, I wanted to fully just read it with my eyeballs, but time did not permit. So I had to half read, half listen. And the guy that did the narrating that I heard did a really good job. But I believe Andy Serkis probably did just as good as a job or even better. I really enjoyed listening to him do parts of The Hobbit. So
yeah, me too. I have 2 versions of the trilogy in my Audible. Mm-hmm. There's like a dramatized version.
I almost listened to the dramatized, and then I was like, what? It was so much shorter than the book. So I was like, okay, this is not the same.
Yeah, it's, I think they're reading like the actual screenplay of the films. I think that's what the dramatized version is. They're very fun to listen to.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, so I also have like the regular audiobooks, and they're narrated by Rob Inglis. Mm-hmm. And it is very good. It does sound like, it almost sounds vintagey. Oh. The way it's narrated.
Almost like, is it kind of like a radio show back in the day?
It sounds like that.
Kind of a thing?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I really enjoy it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But, yeah. What is there to say about Lord of the Rings?
It's amazing.
It's so good.
I loved it. Yeah. Again, I definitely plan to like read with my, because for me, when I listen, I retain, but like I retain it much more when I read it physically. So I definitely will go back and read the parts that I had to listen to just deepen my understanding. But all in all, it's actually pretty true. Once you get past like the first third, it's pretty true. The films are pretty true to the book.
Yeah. They are.
But part of me was like, oh my God, I'm over 100 pages in and we're not even really out of Hobbit area yet. Yeah. But at the same time, I really enjoyed it at the same time. Like, part of me was like eager for the adventure to start, but I also was really loving all the random interactions. So I was being pulled in 2 different directions of like, yeah, let's do this, and oh, but I love Hobbiton anyway, and so I really like this.
I know. I always really love any scenes where they're talking about the SBs. For whatever reason, I just really love the Sackville Bagginses. Not them as, like, people, or they're not really
But how they
true.
talk about them.
Yeah, how they talk about the Sackville Bagginses
Yeah.
is just hilarious. And when Bilbo calls them the SBs, I just almost die every time.
It's so good.
It's
You should get a little SB tattoo.
oh my god, I should. That would
You'd be like, what's that for?
That is a deep cut.
Yes.
No one would ever get it.
No.
That's what I'm always going for.
Just
with,
for
like,
you. Yes.
When I'm thinking of, like, fandom tattoos that I want to get, I always go for, like, no one's going to get this.
Right.
Unless you are, if you know, you know.
Exactly.
So, that would be perfect.
It would be.
Yes.
That would be good.
I'm going to get it on the inside of my finger.
Yes.
SB.
Perfect. The middle finger.
That is the one I touched.
Yeah.
That is kind of like my philosophy on whenever I'm trying to decide where I want to get a tattoo.
Yeah.
Like, if I touch a certain place when I talk
That's
about
where
it,
you want
that's
it.
where I get it.
That's, oh, I like that. I'll have to pay more attention when I do that. I'm so indecisive, though, when it comes to, like, putting tattoos places. But
I know.
But I thought it was funny, too, still speaking of the SBs. I can't remember. I think it was Mary, maybe, was talking about how he figured out that the ring had power. He didn't know, obviously, about the power, but when he realized that it had something special to it was a day that, like, he saw Bilbo from afar, and he noticed that Bilbo noticed the Sackville Bagginses coming, and he put the ring on and disappeared. It was either Mary or Sam or Pippin. It was one of the three, but when they told that story, I just cracked up.
It's so funny.
And then I thought, gosh, that would be so convenient to have for
So
people that you
convenient.
don't want to interact with.
Yep. I would love it.
Yeah.
Just gonna be invisible for a little bit.
That's the best part of the Ring of Power is the invisibility.
Oh.
I don't know what Sauron's thinking, wanting to rule other people. Like, just put it on and stay away from other people. What do you mean?
Just be invisible for a while.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Yeah. Have your ring wraiths go get you snacks. Like,
Yeah. Just chill with your
stop
invisibility.
this binding and smiting thing, okay?
Yeah.
Quit it.
It clearly isn't working for you.
No.
Uh,
No.
Come on.
It
Get
took
it
you
together.
took you this long to even, like, figure out whether ring it. Do you really need it that bad?
I'm guessing no. Guessing no.
Ridiculous.
So crazy. Come on, Sauron.
Yeah.
Use your powers for good. But anyway, that's Fellowship of the Ring.
Yep. 5 out of 5 out of 5 out of 5.
5s and 10s across the board.
Yep.
Highly recommend.
Maddie put a really big number. Hold on, let me count these zeros we got. Is that 50 trillion out
Maybe.
of 5?
I don't know. I just, like, hit the zero. Like,
So, yeah. Needless to say, we really like this.
love it, love it. If
Are you surprised?
You're not surprised.
Not at all.
If you head over to our TikTok, I actually recently posted a TikTok of God tier book tag. And obviously, my God tier fantasy is Lord of the Rings. So you can see the covers of my second editions.
Nice.
Lord of the Rings.
I know a while back you showed one of your sets as well.
I did. I showed that same set in a TikTok previously. So go watch both of those.
Yeah.
And,
I'll share them to the Instagram, especially after this episode hits. So
Yeah.
they should be there around the time you're listening to this.
Yep. That was a prize purchase right there.
Oh, yes.
I did hesitate because they were not cheap. And then I said, treat yourself.
Treat yourself. You only live once.
That's right. Get the books.
Get the books.
Word
Eat
to the wise.
Yeah. Eat the books. Eat the snacks. Did I say eat the books? I meant read the books.
Yeah.
Get the books. Eat the snacks. Buy the coffee.
Do the stuff.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself.
2023.
It doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well, but
2011.
yeah, that one just pops right
Perfect.
off.
Well,
alrighty.
rate and review us. Hopefully you're enjoying this as much as we are.
We do have some ratings on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
We don't have any written reviews that I've seen, but we have 4 ratings.
Yeah.
And they are all 5 stars.
Way to go. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And I just want to shout out, like, all the countries that we've noticed their downloads in. I'm humbled and shocked, and it's pretty flippin' cool.
Super cool.
So let me just set this to all time so I can see all of yous. We've got the United States, United Kingdom, Netherlands, Brazil, Mexico, Australia, Canada, Colombia, India, and Turkey. So
that's awesome.
We see you guys. We haven't heard from you, but we see you.
Yeah, we appreciate your listens.
Yeah, we do.
We hope you come back.
Yes, I hope the I see you doesn't sound creepy like a Sauron eye. It's not like that.
I see you.
Why do I always make things creepy? I don't mean to.
It's just the weather.
That's it. It's not me being an awkward little weirdo. It's the weather. Yes, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, send along your book recs and let us know if you've read any of the books that we've covered, and let us know your feelings on the books that we've covered.
Yep.
Or just let us know what your favorite book is.
What are you reading right now?
Yeah. What do you like?
I don't know.
You know? Tell us.
Yeah. We'd like to know.
We would. We're interested.
We are interested, invested.
Indeed.
Our music and artwork were a collaboration of the WRB Crew. Everything you see and hear, it's us.
Yep.
We created it.
We created it. We edited it. We photographed it.
Yep. We posted it.
Yep.
Wrote the captions.
Yep.
We do it all. All of it. And until next time, look foul and feel fair. And read books.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.